spoke about what computers are, and then we defined computers as electronic devices that are able to accept accept data, process it, store it, and then give out an information. That is the basic definition that we gave to computers. So for today, we will see the various categories of computers that we have. So when we are classifying them, we put them into three main categories. So the first category is what we refer to as the personal computers. Then we have the embedded computers. So the embedded computers are what we see in our ATM machines. Then when we go to the hospitals, you realize that there are some devices, for example, the thermometer that the nurses use. All those are examples of embedded computers. Then when you go to your fuel station to buy fuel, you see that the fuel dispenser, the one that dispenses the fuel to you, is also an example of the embedded computers. Then there's another category that we refer to as the large computers. And usually these large computers are what serves as a server. So we refer to those large computers as servers. So these are the three categories of computers that we have. So we look at the first one, which is known as the personal computer. So it's just a computing device that can perform input, processing, output, and then storage activities on its own. So we usually design it to be used by just one person at a time. So it's known as a personal computer. So these personal computers are what we normally use in our day-to-day activities in our various homes and then offices. So the personal computer that you decide to buy usually will determine on how you plan to use it. So you realize that there are some computers that basically are just used for just some few stuff. So if you are going to buy PC, usually it depends on what you plan to use it for. Then another thing also will be dependent on the budget that you have and then the value that it will basically bring to you. So when we are classifying computer usage, usually it falls into the various ranges. The first one is known as the basic. Usually we use those one for surfing the net, so visiting the website, exchanging emails, and creating Word documents. So you could realize that there are some people, when they buy computers, all that they use it for is just a basic usage. So in that case, the person just uses it to go to the internet just to read news that is going around, exchange their emails or go into their emails, and then sometimes just use it for word processing applications. Then we have the intermediate use. So this intermediate use, they use it for tasks such as playing games, watching videos, shopping online, and then using other productivity software. So you realize that there are some group of people that basically use the computing device or the computers for this basic task. And then there are some group of people, or another usage of the computer is what we refer to as the advanced. And then they are used for performing tasks that require maximum amount of data processing. So in such a case, they need a higher processing speed, they need a higher memory, and then they need a higher storage capacity to be able to handle all the activities that they do. So when you buy your computers, these are the basic uses that you can find your computers being used for, either a basic, intermediate uses, or for an advanced usage. So the quality of the computer usually is determined primarily by the performance of each component. So when you are buying computers, you are actually buying for, or you are paying for some component of the computers or the computing device. So one of them is known as the processing capacity. So this usually describes the bit size of your CPU or the processing or how much of data or bits of information that the CPU can handle at a time. So usually this is measured in bits. So you hear people saying that their machine is a 32-bit system or is a 64-bit operating system. So when we talk of the bit size, then that means that per just a single cycle of processing, how many of the bits will the computer be able to process at the same time? In other words, just look at it like you are going to Accra, and then when you reach the motorway, we have 2 lanes. So that means that 2 cars can pass through the motorway at the same time. Then they are now increasing it to, let's say, a 4 lane. So that means that 4 of the cars can go in or can travel at the same time. So that is what we mean by the bit size of the CPU. So with our CPU, the bit size determines how many bits in one single cycle or 1 second that can be processed by the computer. So when we talk of 32-bit, then that means that at one single processing cycle, 32 bits of our information can be processed. So when we talk of 64 bits, then that means that in one single cycle, 64 bits of the data can be processed. So if you are going in for a computer and you have a 32-bit system and I have a 64-bit, then that means that I can be able to process more data than you. So the processing capacity is usually measured in bits, which is the amount of bits that can be processed at a single time. Then you also have to look at the processing speed. The processing speed here is talking about the clock speed of your CPU. How fast your 32-bit or 64-bit of information can be processed by the CPU at a single or in one single seconds or in one cycle. How many of them can be processed in a single unit of time, which is usually measured per seconds, is what we are referring to as the processing speed. And this processing speed is measured in gigahertz. So the higher the processing speed of your machine or the higher the clock speed of your computer, the better the overall performance of your computer will be. So you also look at the clock speed, and usually the clock speed tells you how fast your data will be processed in a single or per seconds. So gigahertz is the unit of measurement for our processing speed or the clock speed of your CPU. Then the next thing you need to look out for is the memory capacity. That is the amount of RAM that your computer is having. So the number of RAM here will also tell you how much data the CPU can handle at a single point in time. Because we said some time ago that the memory would determine how much data can be temporarily be hold whilst your CPU works on it. So if I have a higher amount of memory, then that means that much of my data can be temporarily stored per unit time whilst the CPU works on it. Then the memory speed, and this one is talking about the access speed. How much of this data that the CPU and the memory can handle at a single point in time, measured with our memory speed. Then the storage capacity also tells you amount of data that the hard drive can store at one single point, or how much data storage or amount of space that you have that you can store your data will be measured by the storage capacity. And that one also is being measured in gigahertz or terabytes. So amount of storage will determine how much of data in your full hard drive of space, then it also slows down your computer performance. Then the next one is the storage speed. And when we talk of the storage speed here, we are talking about the access time. The amount of time that is going to take your system to load data from your hard drive, which is the secondary storage, onto the memory, which is the primary storage, before your computer or the CPU can have access to it, is what we refer to as the access time. And this is measured in milliseconds. Then the write and read speed also tells you how much or the amount of time that the CPU or the hard drive can go into the memory and fetch that data and then bring it to the CPU for it to be executed. Is measured or is determined by the read or the write speed of your system or your hard drives. So these are the components that you are actually paying for whenever you are trying to purchase a computer system. So whenever you have any PC and then you want to access the performance of the system, then you need to look at this component. And this component would tell you how the system will perform. And actually, the higher the storage capacity, the higher the memory, the higher the processing speed or the clock speed, the better the performance of your system. So whenever you are trying to evaluate any computer at all, look at this component. These are actually the components that actually determines the performance of your system. So this is just a picture of a desktop computer. So desktop, because usually this will usually sit on the desk of your at the top of your desk. So we usually refer to it as a desktop PC. Then you could see that this component, the system unit. So this part here is known as the system unit. This one here is known as the system unit. And with this one, you could see that this one is just sitting or is placed just on your desk. So we refer to it as the tower type of your system unit. So this one is the tower or the type that we refer to as the tower. And this one is the system unit. This is your the monitor, and then your keyboard, and we have the mouse. So together, this forms our desktop computer. Then there are some desktop computers that are now coming, which we are referring to as an all-in-one desktop. So this one houses the processing component together with the display unit. So everything is inside one. So we refer to it as all-in-one. So the hard drive, the memory, everything is just within this component here. So this is the all-in-one desktop. Then we have the laptop, which sometimes we refer to as the notebook. So usually that's the lightweight mobile computer, mobile in the sense that we can move it from one place to another, unlike the desktop that usually just sits at one place. So with this one, you can move it. So this notebook usually includes your system component, your keyboard, your display screen, all in one single unit, as you can see over here. So this one contains everything together, and it is lightweight, and then we can move it around. Usually, you put this on your lap or on the top of your lap, so we refer to it as the laptop computer, or some people refer to it as the notebook, because if you look at it, it's just like a notebook, that like the notebook that we all know, just like it. So you can see that when the guy closes the laptop, it will just be in a form of this that you can just carry around. So some people refer to it as a notebook. So the notebook is also known as the ultrabook. So that one looks like a laptop, but it's much smaller and then lighter. So if you look at today's generation of laptops that are coming, or the laptops that are coming, they are ultra slim. Some of them, if you are not careful, you can enter people's or people can enter your office or your house and just pick that particular computer, and then you will not even know that they've taken anything. So that one is known as an ultra book. So some of these notebook computers, they have less power and storage capacity. Most of them don't have the CD or the DVD drives, and then they provide a small keyboard and display screen just than our normal laptops that we have. So the netbooks are suitable for mobile users. So those who move from one place to another usually make use of this netbook. So if you look at it, this is an example of what we are referring to as our no, this is the laptop or the tablet. So the netbooks, they are a little bit much smaller than the normal laptops that we have. So the next one is the tablet. So this tablet is a one-piece handheld computer that usually includes our touchscreen. So this one, you just use your finger just to control or to input data into it. So they are usually rigid and you don't fold them. So the tablet, you don't need to fold them up. But now there are some personal computers that are coming that we are referring to as a convertible tablet. So usually they have a swivel screen. You can turn it around or you can remove the keyboard from it. Even there are some techno phones that are coming. Sometimes when you get to techno, you see that there are some tablet that comes. You can just remove the screen from it and then just carry the keyboards away. So those ones are what we refer to as the convertible tablet. So when we are comparing tablets and laptops, what are the things that you should look out for? So for many people considering a new computer, usually they are torn between having a tablet or a laptop. So usually if you are looking at this, the first thing that you need to consider is the input devices. You could see that with our tablet, the input devices are usually done through, or the input is usually done through the touch. So they have a touch screen, and then there are some, we call them joysticks or pointing devices that you can use this to input data into them. So those ones are the tablet. But if you look at the laptops, they usually have a keyboard that you can have. So there's a keyboard that is being attached to the system unit that you can use for inputting your data into it. And then the battery life also is what you can use to differentiate or to compare them. So there are some tablets that don't have much battery life as compared to laptops. There are some laptops that are coming. If it is fully charged, you can use it for about 8 hours before your battery will run down. Then also you need to look at the storage capacity. Most of the tablets don't have much storage capacity as compared to that of our laptops. Then the performance, if you look at the performance of our tablet, mostly people tend to tell you that they are more productive when they are using laptops than the tablet, because the tablet, you just have to hold it on your palm and then you try to input certain things to it. So in terms of performance, people look at the laptops who have more performance than that of the tablet. And also the physical factors that you need to consider. Sometimes, as we said, if you are a mobile person, then it would be better for you to use or to go in for the tablet as compared to the laptops. So, and also the price. So sometimes the price of some tablets are a little bit lower than when you look at the laptops. By in all, you have to look at the components that we looked at previously. These are the things that usually determine the price, because there are some tablets that are even much expensive than the laptops. And then they also have higher processing, higher storage, higher memory than some laptops that we have. So we said that with the difference, if you are looking at them, one of them is the input device. So you can see that this a tablet, and then with this one, you can see that you do the inputting through a touchscreen. So once you want to input data, there will be an on-screen keyboard that will be displayed to you. But our laptops don't have those things. So most of the laptops that we have, they provide a physical keyboard or pointing devices that you can use. Whilst our tablet, they use a virtual keyboard and then the touch screen. Then the battery life too, as we said, there are some tablets, you require less power than the laptops. So in terms of battery life, some of them don't last so much as compared to our laptops. And then the storage capacity, if you compare the storage capacity for laptops, some of them have much more storage capacity than if you look at the tablet. So the physical factors here that you need to look at is the display screen. So sometimes you realize that if you're looking at the display screen for some of our laptops, some of them comes from 15-inch to 17-inch. But if you look at our tablet, usually they offer you a small inches in terms of the display screen as compared to our laptops. So these are the things that you should use whenever you are trying to compare between our laptops and our tablet. So smartphones. A smartphone is just a small cell phone that includes many features of a computer. There are some people now that have packed their laptops because whatever they can do with their smartphones, whatever they can do with their computers, they can do the same thing with their smartphones. So some people prefer using smartphones than the normal laptops and then tablets that we have. So there are some smartphones that can help you connect to the internet. They have built-in cameras. They can play music with it. They have GPS that you can use to navigate around. You can also use it to send and receive calls. You can send emails. You can send messages. You can even send text messages. Even there are some that you can even do a lot of those your productive software that you use. For example, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, you can have the same thing on your smartphones. So there are some that go in for the smartphones as compared to the laptops. So when you are evaluating your smartphones, there are certain things that you need to use, or there are some criteria that you can use to compare them with your laptops and the tablet. So the first one is the input devices, and then the battery life, storage capacity, performance, physical factor, and then the price. So as we looked at for the tablet, so you can see that most of the input devices or the inputs that we do, we mostly do that through our touch screens or virtual keyboards, just like the way you do with our tablet. And then there are some smartphones that are coming that you can also use your voice just to input data into them. So that is how some of these our smartphones now have. You can use them. You can use your voice. You can use the touch screen through your virtual keyboards to be able to do an input into them. And then the battery life, you could see that there are some smartphones that have long battery. Once you charge it, it keeps on for some time before the battery runs down. So you can also look at the battery life when you are trying to go in for a smartphone. And then the storage capacity, some of them are just like our tablet. So most of the smartphones use the solid state drives just to store their data. So some of them can give you 16 to 64 gigabytes. So as most of you have been seeing with the phones that you have, especially those who use the Android, the Technos. So you could see that most of them give you a storage capacity up to 64 gig. And now the new ones that are coming even give you more features that you can even slot in your micro SD card that can hold up to 64 gig of data in addition to the internal storage that the smartphone itself comes with. Then in terms of performance, you could see that most of the smartphones that we are having, they also perform creditably well, just like our normal laptops. There are some smartphones that are even better in terms of performance than some of the laptops that we have. So most of these smartphones that we have offer you a multi-core processing, and then they also offer you 2 gig RAM. Even there are some new phones that are coming, and then the RAM that comes with it, some are even giving you 32 gigabyte of RAM. So you could see that some of the smartphones are now having a higher storage in terms of memory, the RAM, as compared to some of the tablet and then the laptops that we have. And then another thing you should look out for is the physical factors. Mostly smartphones are lightweight. Usually, they are not even so heavy as compared to some tablet and then the laptop. So they can easily be carried around. And then one thing too also is they offer you a screen size, or the screen resolution is not as big as your laptop and then the tablet. But in terms of the sharpness of the screen, some even offer you a higher screen resolution than some laptops and some tablets can offer you. Then if you are trying to evaluate it in terms of the price, now most smartphones, their prices are even increasing as compared to in those days. In those days, if you take 700 CD, you can even get a nice techno phones. But now, most of them that are coming offer you a price from 4,000 CD up. It's just because of the higher processing and then the better performance that most of them are coming with. So these are the factors that you need to put in when you are trying to evaluate your smartphones. Any question? All right, so other mobile devices that we have, aside our laptop and tablet, some of them also are the media players that we have. MP3. In those days, we used to have the MP3 players. So, and then there are some ebook readers that you can use to read most of the e-files or PDF documents that you have. And then there are some handheld devices that you can use for games. So those who play games, you could see that there are some mobile devices that mostly are used in playing your game. So all these are classified as computers because they can have input, they can process, they can store, and they can give you an information. All right, so the next classification of computers that we want to look at is the embedded computers. So the embedded computer, they have their processors built into our household appliances. So sometimes your ATM machines, navigation system, the refrigerators that we have, the televisions, the microwaves, All of these are computers, and most of them are known as the embedded computers. So the appeal and strength of most of these embedded computers are that it adds computing power to the devices without you needing any intervention from the user. So you could see that there are some homes you go, and then the fridge, the microwave, the rice cooker, everything is computerized. So you can be moving from your office, and then you just input some data into your microwave, or maybe you have your rice in your rice cooker, and then you can just input or you can just give it some command that get your rice cooking, and then maybe your AC is there, and then you want your room temperature to be at a certain level before you walk into your home. So you can set all of these things through the software that is being embedded into some of these electronic gadgets. So most of them are known as the embedded computers. Even the cars that are now coming, you could see that most of them are self-driven cars. So most of them have some of these computers or some of these embedded computers in them. So they are able to communicate with some control devices that are being on their path, so that they don't veer off the road, and then they observe certain speed limit as they are going around. And then now, most if you are trying to reverse, you just put your gear in a reverse mode, and then the activation or the navigation system is being activated, that you can see 360 degrees around whatever is happening around you. So most of these devices are using the embedded computers. Then the last one is what we refer to as the servers. And usually they said they are the large computers. Large in the sense that they have much more processing, much power, more storage than our normal computers. So because they have everything much more than our personal computers, they are usually used as the servers. So examples of computers that are being used, our servers, are the mainframe computers and then the super computers. They can handle up to 10,000 of users at the same time. So most of the banks, most of the telcos use some of these mainframe and supercomputers as their servers. Because today is holiday, by Tuesday, you could see that everybody is trying to access their account details at their bank. So they need a specialized computer that will be able to handle 10,000 of users at the same time. Everybody is trying to access their bank balance. Or if you go to the university, for example, when school resumes, everybody is logging on to the LMS just to try to register for their courses. So you could see that if you don't have a computer that will have much more processing speed, much more power, much more storage than our normal computers, once you log in, the system cannot able to serve everybody. Then we say that the system has crashed down, or some people tell you that the server is not responding. Once it's not responding, that means that the people or the number of people that are trying to access a particular service at that time is much more than the system or the computer can handle at the same time. So whenever you want to use a computer as a server, go for mainframe and the super computers. So these are our servers that we have. So there are some people, if you go to some offices or some companies, they have money in such a way that they have one server dedicated for just one service. So let's say if it is our email, then we'll let one computer or one server handle that particular email. So they refer to that one as an email server. Then there will be one that will be handling our data storage. So they refer to that one as the data server. And there will be one that will be handling our files, or the files. So they refer to them as a file server. All of this can be put onto one server that can do it. So if you don't have much money, you don't need to have a dedicated server for just a particular service. So you could see that this one are the servers, and this one is what we refer to as the server racks. So you go to a company like Facebook, YouTube. For them, they need to have a lot of servers. So all those servers, they will put all of them together into one storage unit. So this storage unit that houses a lot of servers is called to refer to as the server racks. So this one will handle or will contain a lot of servers at the same time. So as I said, there are some servers that are usually dedicated for just a single type of task. So if you have a server that only handles your exchange of information across the internet, then we refer to it as a web server. So there are some companies that have money in such a way that just one server for one job. So such a server, we refer to it as a web server. Then there are some that have, or some servers that are known as enterprise servers. So these enterprise servers are used to provide employees access to specialized software that are used to run the organization. So refer to that one as an enterprise server. And as I said, there are some servers that handle our files, programs that are used to run our day-to-day activities within the organization. So we refer to those servers as a file server. But if you don't have money, you can have your file server, your enterprise server, and then your file server all on one particular server. If you do that, then that means that that particular server must have a higher processing capacity to be able to handle all of these services at the same time. So a basic server does processing, memory, and storage capabilities just like our normal desktop, but just that those ones have a higher processing capacity. And our servers need to be able to handle a lot of people at the same time. So as your users increase, your server must be able to handle them. So a server that is able to handle an increasing number of users will refer to that server as a scalable server, or they are scalable, meaning that as the users increase, they have additional processing capacity to be able to handle most of this. So you could see that sometimes your users that will log on to the server can be, let's say, 10. Then sometimes they'll be 100, sometimes they'll be 1,000. So your server should be able to meet the processing demand or the demand of these people at any point in time. So a server that does that, we refer to it as scalable. And when you are going for server, one of the characteristics of your server is it should be able to handle large increasing number of users at the same time. So those ones are known as, or that feature is known as scalability. Then your server needs a network adapter. So a network adapter will help your device or your server to be able to connect to the internet. In those days, when you are going to purchase your laptops, your servers, most of them don't come with these network adapters. So you need to go and then get another device, which you are referring to as a network adapter, plug it onto your motherboard, and that will help you to be able to connect to the internet. But now in this generation of computers that are coming, most of them comes with a network adapter. So you don't need to go and then get any network adapter. All your servers need to be connected to the internet. So if you have a server that does not have a network adapter, then it's of no use. That means that it's only one person that can use that particular server. So that server is as good as your desktop computer. So for your server to be able to be called a server, it needs to have a network adapter that will handle or that will help it to be able to connect to other computers. We spoke about large computers, and we say one of them is the mainframe computer. These mainframe computers, they are just a normal computer, but they have a at the same time. So they are mostly known as the mainframe computers. And then all the servers that we spoke about, most of them are example of a mainframe computer. Yes, Abraham, go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. Please, I want to ask concerning the servers, let's say 5 computers connected to one server, and let's say the computers are at, let's say, GCTU, Tesano. Can the server be at somewhere around Kumasi to monitor those computers?
Yes. So
Concerning
your question
the
is, we have
distance.
5 computers?
Yeah.
Yes, it can. It can. So all that you need to do is to have that software on a particular server. So your server monitors everything. One thing is that it's just like this. So let's say that we have 5 students, and then all these 5 students have to connect to me. So I am the server. So what we need to do is that once the student connects to me, I'm the server. So if you connect to me, what do you want? Then I will handle that. So maybe one student wants to have access to his, let's say, microcomputer PowerPoint. Another student should want to have access to HRM, let's say your HRM courses. So since I'm the server, I am going to give access to all of you. Then one thing is there will be a particular software that will be installed on me, and that software will be controlled by somebody that we refer to as the system administrator. So all that the system administrator needs to do is to have an account on me. Then it can be able to monitor everybody that is connected to me. So if student A connects to me and is doing something, the system administrator will know. If another person also connects, whatever the person is doing, the system administrator will know, irrespective of wherever you are. You can be connected to me and you'll be as far as China. The system administrator will know. Somebody will be connected and the person will be in Lebanon. The system administrator will know. Once you are all connected to one network, we can monitor you through that one computer that we are referring to as a server. Is he okay?
Yes, please. Thank you very much.
So we said that our mainframe computers, usually they are large, more expensive, and they are usually located in a climate control room, which we are referring to as the data center. Reason why we are saying that they should be in a climate control room, especially in an air condition, is because they have large processing capacity. They are producing a lot of heat. So we need to be able to cool them down. And then they must be in a secure room because they are having all our data. Let's say, for example, somebody is able to hack into the NIA database. Once the person hack into NIA, all our biometric data that they've collected is gone forever. We can't get access to it. So we must make sure that our service must be in a secure room that we are referring to as a data center. So if you are the data center manager, it is a very big responsibility that has been put on you, because once the data goes off, nobody can have access to it. So you make sure that your mainframe are put into a secure room. And mainframe are usually designed to handle large volumes of data on their own. So you don't need anything to be done. So all that you need to do is just connect them through the network, and they'll be able to handle a lot of requests from 100,000, even 10,000, even millions of users at the same time. Just look at Ghana Commercial Bank. Almost all of us have account with Ghana Commercial Bank. Everywhere you go, you see Ghana Commercial Bank. And most of these people, they have their the bank of Ghana Commercial Bank, they have their data center at one place. So all the branches connect to that particular data center. And that data center needs to have a big computer that we are referring to as the mainframe computer to be able to handle all of this transaction at the same time. So mostly, it's large organizations that mostly go in for these mainframe computers. Large organizations such as government agencies, universities, banks, they usually go in for some of these mainframe computers. The reason is that it is very, very, very expensive. Look at the price, $75,000 for just one mainframe computer that we are going to use as our server. So they are usually expensive, and even they require the service of a specialized IT person called a system administrator to be able to manage your mainframe computers together with your client and then the software that are being run on the mainframe computer. Then another large group of computer that we have is known as a supercomputer. And these supercomputers, they are even much more powerful than our mainframe computers. So these supercomputers are usually used by large organizations that needs a lot of calculations. So you could see the banks don't need so much calculation. So if you're a bank and you are going for a supercomputer, you are just underutilizing the capacity of that type of computer. So usually these supercomputers are used by large scientific organizations. Let's say organizations that are into mineral exploration, those that are sending a lot of people or that are sending scientists onto the space, because you need a lot of calculation, and those calculation needs to be very fast because you are trying to put somebody into space. So there should be a communication between the computer on the earth here and the one that you are sending the person into space. So it needs a lot of calculations, and these calculations needs to be very, 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 very fast. And the type of computer that can handle this for us is the supercomputer. So most of these supercomputers are being used by large scientific organizations that require lot of calculations, and these calculations need to be given in just a fractions of time. So they need these large computers known as the supercomputer. So this is how our various types of computers are. So if you are a normal person means that you are not a scientist, you are just an HR person. So you just need your computer for your day-to-day activity. The best for you is to have your normal laptop. You don't need a mainframe computer. You don't need a supercomputer. Even if you are a large organization, you don't need to spend so much money going in for a supercomputer. So that will bring us to the end of today's discussion. If you have any question, the floor is open. Any question? Okay. So if no question, we'll stop here. Are we meeting next week?
Yes, please.
Sir, please,
right.
a quick one. A quick one.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so the question is simple. So what I'm saying is that what I'm asking is, the server, the mainframe computer, and the supercomputers, can they be used at the same time to give a same purpose, or it should
Yes.
be used? Okay. Okay, so it can be used at the
Or
same
what?
time for the same purpose, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what I
It's
wanted to
just
know.
like, okay. is see the supercomputer and the mainframe computers.
Okay.
So the supercomputers, they are much faster than the mainframe computers. But whatever the mainframe computer is doing, the supercomputer can do it and even do it better. So over here, it's just a matter of your budget. If you are an organization and then you need a server, and you said, okay, fine, because I have money, I want to go in for supercomputer to be used as a server, it's fine. But you are just going to be wasting your money. It's just like you go and buy a Range Rover and somebody buys Toyota Corolla. Whatever Toyota Corolla is doing, the Range Rover can do it and even do it more. But the Range Rover will transport you from point A to point B. The Toyota Corolla to transport you from point A to point B. But how fast you go, the Range Rover will go there faster than the Corolla. So whatever your supercomputer is doing, the mainframe computer is doing, the supercomputer can also do the same thing. But for server, it will just be advisable to go in for mainframe. Don't go in for supercomputer. It's just a waste of money.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
So if no question, I'll see you next week.
All right,
Bye-bye.
sir. Thank you very much. And we really appreciate. See you next week. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Mm-hmm.